But the problems we must confront are not only found in Ferguson. The issues raised in Missouri are not unique to that state or to that small city. We are dealing with concerns that are truly national in scope and that threaten the entire nation. In the coming days, I will announce updated Justice Department guidance regarding profiling by federal law enforcement. This will institute rigorous new standards and robust safeguards to help end racial profiling once and for all.
Well, that was Attorney General Eric Holder just last night, the nation's top cop, basically, saying the situation in Ferguson is just the beginning of a bigger policing problem across America. But my next guest says that could not be further from the truth. David Clark is the sheriff of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. Sheriff, good to see you tonight. And you made headlines not long ago after Eric Holder came out and claimed that he had been the victim of racial profiling himself and was pretty tough on the cops. And you said, you know what? Don't do us any favors by condemning law enforcement with such a broad brush and not backing up stories that were not documented at the time. How did you react when you heard him last night?
Well, Megan, first of all, it's a pleasure to be on with you. And I was willing to give Eric Holder a do-over after his initial stumbling out of the gate, throwing law enforcement officers under the bus in the days following the tragic shooting of Mike Brown by a Ferguson police officer. But he comes out again yesterday and he doubled down. And then I became disgusted. He comes out with these scurrilous claims, you know, that law enforcement officers hit the streets every day with some nefarious intent in their heart to deny people their constitutional civil rights and indiscriminately just, you know, shoot black males as if it were some sort of sport. I think that's irresponsible for a person in a position that he holds, you know, as you indicated, the top cop. But apparently he's abandoned his duty, really, to be impartial in this stuff, to keep his powder dry, let evidence. He knows how how due process works. He knows what justice is, what it's supposed to look like anyway. And he claims he wants justice for all, but apparently he doesn't want justice for police officers.
What do you make of the racial divide on what's happened in Ferguson, with only 9% of African Americans supporting the grand jury's determination not to indict this officer? And you know, at the start of the show, I interviewed a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, and his group had come out and said that this grand jury's determination shows that black lives have no value in America and law enforcement can kill black teens with impunity.
Garbage, Megan, garbage. And I heard some of the exchange between you and the congressman, and you know, quite frankly, you were wasting your breath in trying to reason with him. He knows better, but you know, he's caught up in the emotion of this thing. And when he makes statements like that, or when the Congressional Black Caucus does, that black lives don't matter, I reject that sort of thing. Now, look, race is an explosive issue in this country. Has been for a long time. I don't know if it's going to get better, but it was improving. There's just no doubt about that. Anybody that would deny that is not living in reality. But that wound has been opened again. And some of it is because of the divisive politics that the White House has been playing. You know, look at the political strategy that it's gone on. It's this fictitious war on women, pitting men against women, this fanning the flames of racial discord, pitting whites against blacks, this class warfare, the 1%, the rich, tax the rich, on and on is pitting American against American. So that wound is starting to open again, unfortunately, and people are benefiting politically from it. But the President of the United States and Eric Holder, all right, what they say matters. And when they say things, people listen. These are smart men. They know that words matter, and they know they need to choose their words carefully, because when they speak, they need to speak for all Americans. But what I've heard over the last couple of months since the Ferguson incident is that these two men have taken sides. That's not healthy for the American people.
Still, when you see what's happening in Ferguson, and you see, you know, the riots on the street and looting and arson, and in response to this grand jury decision, and I will grant you that the story being told on a lot of news channels and by a lot of folks like Al Sharpton is extremely one-sided. They don't bother to give the officer his due. But still, there's clearly strong anger. There's anger in some of these communities. What explains that?
Well, a lot. First of all, the rioting that went on. Look, if people are frustrated and angry, they have to find a more socially acceptable way to deal with that anger and frustration. But let's look at some of the things that give rise to that anger. People can't find meaningful work, all right? People have to send their kids to failing schools. People are living in entrenched poverty and crime-ridden neighborhoods. That's what they're really frustrated about, and that frustration has been deflected onto a situation like a police officer shooting of an individual, and then the thing erupts. But what I want to know, and I wish I would have been invited to that White House summit, although it was nothing more than kabuki theater yesterday, is I would have said, Mr. President, you spent $1 trillion on a stimulus package promising a robust economy that would produce jobs. Mr. President, where are the jobs? If people find meaningful work, it occupies their time, and you don't have all these individuals just, idling around, building up frustration and anger because their life isn't going the way that they thought it should. I would have said, Mr. President, why do our kids in Central City America, why do we have to send our kids to a failing school system, a failing K-12 urban public school system that's going to shackle them to a life of crime and violence, and they'll never reach their God-given potential? Why can't the parents choose better schools for their kids to attend? Why do you continue, Mr. President, to support anti-poverty programs and initiatives that have worsened poverty over the last 50, 60 years? It hasn't gotten better. If you want to do us a favor at the local level, why don't you issue an executive order calling for an audit of every anti-poverty agency and initiative of America, and let's stop propping up this welfare state that has done nothing more than hook these individuals living in these American ghettos on the high of handouts.
Sheriff, what do you think of, Al Sharpton and so on? Do you think he is well-meaning?
Not at all. He's self-serving. He's exploiting a situation, but that's his shtick, Megan. You know that. He's a provocateur. Al Sharpton is a charlatan. All right. And I would question. I saw the comment he made. I think it was last week, where he said he's an advisor to President Obama. I have a lot of respect for the office of president. I have a lot of respect for the person that holds that office. But I'd have to question the judgment of anybody who would take advice from Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, when he shows up, nothing good ever results. Last question.
You're the sheriff in Milwaukee County. Do you have any aspirations toward higher office?
No, Megan. I'm happy to serve in this capacity here in Milwaukee County, but I never say never. I take life one day at a time, and we'll see what the horizon looks like, and we'll take it from there.
Something tells me we have not heard the last of you, Sheriff. Thanks for coming on.
It's my pleasure.
All the best. Well, it was a massive hack attack on Sony Pictures, and now North Korea is at the top of the suspect list. Up next, why the FBI has now issued a nationwide warning about what it found when agents went digging.